Hello, and welcome to Observer TV News. It's Tuesday, November 13, 2018. I'm Tijuana Turner.
And I'm Erik Twight.
And here are the top stories. Toronto loses out on Amazon. An alarming amount of sewage is flowing into Ontario's waterways. And two of Toronto's youngest newcomers are enjoying snow for the first time. And now to the top stories. Toronto is no longer a potential candidate for Amazon's second North American headquarters. Amazon chose New York City and Arlington in Virginia instead. 200 proposals were sent in from cities and states, and Amazon had originally said 50,000 workers would be added to this single headquarter location. A report by Ontario's Environmental Commissioner, Diane Sachs, raises issues concerning the amount of sewage the province is allowing into rivers and lakes. The CBC reports that sewage has overflowed into Ontario waterways more than 1,300 times between April 2017 and March 2018. Sachs recommends that the province take action by building modern sewer systems and charging companies and homes more for their sewage disposal. 'Tis the season to celebrate the first snowfall. Two Eritrean children in Toronto did just that. The kids came to Canada from Sudan refugee camp. Their sponsor filmed them experiencing their first snowfall. The video went viral and it shows the kids dancing around as their fluffy white flakes fell from the sky earlier this week. It appears that anti-Semitism is on the rise in the city. Ryan McKenzie has the latest on what Toronto police are alleging is a hate crime against the Jewish community in the Bathurst and Finch area. Ryan?
Thanks, Tijuana. At around 8 p.m. Sunday night, police say 4 17-year-old boys were walking in the area and were dressed with traditional Orthodox Jewish religious clothing when they were approached by a group of 9 teenagers. It's reported that derogatory and anti-Semitic comments were made as the two groups walked past each other. The larger group then allegedly began to physically assault 2 of the teenage Jewish boys, and one of them had his sunglasses stolen. Police say they were able to locate and arrest 1 suspect. The outstanding suspects have been described as being in their early teens. It's also reported the suspects were drunk and were carrying broken beer bottles. Anyone with further information is asked to contact Toronto Police. Tijuana?
Thanks, Ryan. Do you know what condition the victims are in right now?
The victims only obtained minor injuries and were treated at the scene.
Thank you, Ryan.
Peel police are questioning the death of a man found with a gunshot wound at a crash site. With that story is Jonathan Enriquez. What can you tell us about the incident, Jonathan?
Around 1 a.m. today, Peel Regional Police were called to the Highway 410 area, north of Corny Park Drive, for a reported collision. A man was found at the scene with a gunshot wound. Police are now questioning how this man was actually shot. The 23-year-old was found in his vehicle crashed in a ditch. He was then brought to a trauma center, but later succumbed to his injuries. No information on any potential suspects has been released. Police are asking for any witnesses to step forward. For Observer TV News, I'm Jonathan Enriquez.
After 67 years, the TTC system is finally saying goodbye to tokens. The plan for Metrolinx to take over fare collection is finally moving ahead. The first change that commuters will notice is that the TTC is discontinuing the MetroPass system. As of January 1st, commuters have to have Presto before they can buy a monthly or a 12-month pass. Observer TV News' Taylor Bridger reports.
I'm here at Yonge and Bloor Station on my way to TTC headquarters to speak with Heather Brown from the Communications Office about the upcoming changes to Presto fare collection in 2019. I'm Taylor Bridger, Observer TV News, Toronto.
Presto will replace the need for customers to carry tickets, tokens, cash, and Metro passes, because all of that functionality is integrated into the one Presto card. Customers do have to activate a Presto card if ordered online. So when you order a Presto card online, you need to tap your card within 24 hours of receiving it in the mail, and that will activate your card. Cards purchased in person are already activated and ready for customers to use.
The TTC states that by the end of November, every station will have a place to purchase a Presto card. However, TTC Riders is an advocacy group that claims that the changes leave commuters with poor access to payment options.
One of the biggest issues is that tokens are currently sold at 1,200 locations across Toronto, your convenience store. So it's really easy to access tokens and a ride on the TTC. With Presto cards, they're only going to be available at Shoppers Drug Mart locations and TTC stations. that cuts access by almost 1,000 locations. And what we're hearing is that people can't make it. They can't travel that far to load their Presto card. People don't have access to bank accounts or online online access to load their Presto cards. So we're really concerned about that.
Here are some of the dates commuters should be aware of in the next 12 months. By August 3rd, the TTC will no longer distribute tokens, and tokens sold before this date are valid until December 31st, 2019.
Taylor is here in the studio. Hello, how exactly do you purchase a Presto card at the station if you don't already have one?
Well, you may have noticed black Presto machines have been installed in almost every TTC station. By the end of the month, every station will have one of these machines.
Are there any other important dates commuters should be aware of?
Yes, by January 2020, commuters will have to pay by either Presto or by cash. Commuters who prefer to use cash will receive a small paper ticket in lieu of the tokens that they are used to.
Thank you, Taylor.
You're welcome.
On to the latest in the world of politics. Last week, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Jim Wilson, left the caucus because of sexual misconduct allegations. Now, federal Conservative MP Tony Clement has also been kicked out of his party after admitting that he had been extorted by an individual he sent sexually explicit photos to. He says he believed the individual to be a consenting female who he met via Instagram. The RCMP is now investigating the extortion case. Some good news from the Ontario Cannabis Store. The shortage of legal cannabis has officially been resolved. That's according to Finance Minister Vic Fedeli. Fedeli says deliveries are back on schedule at 1 to 2 days scheduled delivery time, but the official website estimates wait times at 3 to 5 days still. Toronto continues to struggle with the opioid crisis, while police in Ontario have now been given more freedom to treat overdoses themselves. Ontario police will no longer be subject to the SIU, the Special Investigations Unit, if they administer naloxone kits to unconscious patients if the patient dies. Toronto police started carrying naloxone last spring, but chiefs of police were worried about being held responsible if the person did not make it. That's all from me. Now on to the weather forecast with Bobby Hristova.
Cut.
What sets Centennial College apart from the rest? The Story Arts Center, a school where you can turn your creative passion into a real job. It's a small campus with intimate classes, which allows students to get real hands-on experience. Fine-tune your technical skills while expanding your creativity. Become part of Toronto's rich history, like several of our alumni, and make the Six proud. Story Arts Center is a small school with a big influence.
As a kid, this beat was always stuck in my head. I would practice it anywhere I could, whenever I could. I was able to bring the beat to life. Here, I found my music.
Cut.
It's 2 degrees and cloudy right now, but dress warm tonight or just stay inside. Flurries and -9 with the wind chill. The snow may spill into Wednesday morning, but it'll be cloudy and 3 degrees for most of the day. Thursday has a high of 1 and a mix of sun and cloud, so you can plan that date and visit the annual Christmas market in the Distillery District when it opens at 4 p.m. Friday is 4 degrees, but there is a chance of 70% snow or rain. So if you aren't making snow angels, you can watch some festive movies in your jammies. The weather shouldn't be a problem on the weekend. On Saturday, it'll be cloudy and +2, so you can time travel back to the old-fashioned Christmas in the Black Creek Pioneer Village, or take the family to the Santa Claus Parade on Sunday, where it'll be +1 with a mix of sun and cloud. Monday is more of the same, some sun and cloud with a high of +2. And for a full list of other upcoming events, you can visit toronto.ca. Now to Varsha Ramsey Hall with the National.
Thanks, Bobby, and good evening, everyone. An Edmonton woman is refusing to stay silent about what she believes is unlawful behavior by her bank. Rhonda McMillan has spent the last 2 years in a legal battle with CIBC after they allegedly made an unauthorized transaction on her behalf. The money was eventually returned, and though CIBC denies any wrongdoing, they have offered McMillan a settlement amount. She's refused, saying the bank's employees forged her signature when they transferred nearly $700 out of one of her accounts. She wants Canadians to know that banks are too secretive and the system needs transparency. The Canadian $10 bill will now show the face of Viola Desmond, a civil rights icon and the first Canadian woman on a banknote. The note will mark a historic moment in time for Canada by paying tribute to a Black woman. She was jailed for being in a white-only section of a movie theater in Nova Scotia over 72 years ago. That's all from me. Now over to Nida Zavar for international news.
Thank you, Varsha. The audio tape containing journalist Jamal Khashoggi's last words has been released. The tape has been shared with Saudi, French, and Canadian intelligence officials. Nazif Karaman, a lead investigative journalist at a Turkish newspaper, told Al Jazeera that Khashoggi's last words were, quote, "I'm suffocating, take this bag off my head, I'm claustrophobic," end quote. The audio shows that the killing likely lasted 7 minutes. A deadly wildfire continues to burn in California. The blaze started Thursday morning and at least 44 people are dead and more than 200 missing. The fire has destroyed over 6,000 structures. It has also leveled the community of Paradise, a small town just over 200 kilometers away from Sacramento. Human rights group Amnesty International has stripped Aung San Suu Kyi of its highest honor. The Ambassador of Conscience Award was awarded to the Myanmar official nearly 10 years ago. Now they say they're taking it away because of her response to the Rohingya crisis. That's a look at international news. After the break, we'll be back with entertainment from Michael.
Cut.
Welcome back and hello everyone. The biggest superhero of the Marvel Universe has died. According to sources, ambulances rushed to Stan Lee's home early in Hollywood Hills Monday morning and then to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he later died. The comics pioneer suffered several illnesses over the last year. Lee started Marvel Comics back in 1961 with fellow creator Jack Kirby, creating iconic characters like Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, Black Panther, and the Avengers. Since then, the superheroes have become household names inspiring generations. Lee himself made cameos appearing in some of the movies. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will be his latest film featuring Lee. It's coming out later in the month. There's no word yet on how many other cameos for future films have been recorded already, but fans are sure hoping for one last one in the upcoming entitled Avengers 4 film. Now, here's Jessica with the scoop on the People's Choice Award.
Thanks, Michael. The 44th Annual People's Choice Awards took place on Sunday. It marks the first time the awards show aired on E! Network after moving from CBS. It was also the first time the show took place in November instead of January. Nicki Minaj opened the show with a performance of her song Good Form, and she took home the People's Choice for Album of the Year and for Female Artists. Avengers Infinity War won both Movie of 2018 and Action Movie of 2018. One of its stars, Scarlett Johansson, won the People's Choice for Female Movie Star. In her acceptance speech, she dedicated her award to the armed forces who were risking their lives to put out the wildfires in California. Victoria Beckham received the People's Fashion Icon Award. She also mentioned the Wuxi fires and paid tribute to the victims. The Kardashians asked their fans to donate to the relief efforts for the fires in the Thousand Oaks shooting. They made their comments and acceptance speeches for winning reality show of 2018. Other celebrities spoke out about the devastating wildfires. Miley Cyrus and Gerard Butler are among those who lost their homes. After the break, we'll have Aileen with the sports.
As a kid, this beat was always stuck in my head. I would practice it anywhere I could, whenever I could. I was able to bring the beat to life. Here, I found my music.
The Hockey Hall of Fame welcomed its class of 2018 at a ceremony last night. Players Alexander Yukashev, Jana Hefford, Martin Brodeur, and Martin St. Louis were honored for their achievements. In his speech, St. Louis spoke about the importance of, quote, believing in yourself and being a good teammate, both on the ice and in life, unquote. Other honorees were the NHL's first black player, Willie O'Ree, and NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman. Now over to Justin with the latest in basketball.
Thanks, Eileen. In basketball, the New Orleans Pelicans beat the Toronto Raptors 126-110 last night. This marks the Raptors' first home loss and only their second loss this season. The Pelicans' offense caused problems for the Raptors all night as Etuan Moore and Drew Holiday scored 29 and 30 points respectively. That's even though the Raptors are the top team of the Eastern Conference. Toronto trailed the half at 66-61. That's the most points the Raptors have conceded in any half this year. The Raptors looked promising in the second half when the Raptors chased the Pelicans' lead down as Toronto's bench outscored the Pelicans' bench 42-20. Despite the tough loss, Toronto's Pascal Siakam was named the NBA Eastern Conference Player of the Week for the first time. He continued his good form with 22 points and 2 free-pointers. Toronto is set for a reunion with former coach Dwayne Casey tomorrow as the Detroit Pistons visit the Scotiabank Arena. Back to Eileen.
Still with sports, we look at the latest in Toronto soccer news. Canadian Premier League Open Trials were hosted at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton in early October. Over 200 players participated in day one of the trials. Many of these players were young Canadians in their early teens and 20s. And as Observer TV News' Mohamed Rashini reports, this youth participation is a subject of importance for all of those involved with the CPL.
The Canadian Premier League has arrived in Hamilton. The city hosted the league's third open trials on October 1st and 2nd at Tim Hortons Field. Hundreds of soccer players aged 16 and up came to the two-day trials to showcase their skills to the league's coaches. Participants ranged from young Canadian amateurs to semi-pros from abroad. League Commissioner David Clanahan said that these trials were hosted to give every player an opportunity at going pro.
We know that there hasn't been a wide pathway and a deep pool at the lower levels and the amateur levels, so we wanted to make sure that no stone was left unturned, so to speak.
These words were echoed by Bob Young, co-founder of Hamilton's CPL club Forge FC, when he was asked about the club's new technical director and head coach, Bobby Smirniotis. Young helped the club present the Scarborough native to the media on day one of the trials.
What we really need is we have to build grassroots football. We have to find the kids in our community who are going to become the next Wayne Rooney's. And that's exactly where Sigma and Bobby's success has been from.
Smirniotis co-founded the Mississauga-based Sigma FC in 2005 and served as the team's head coach until this year. He was also the academy coach with Olympiakos FC, the 44-time champions of the Greek Super League. Smirniotis has experience with developing youth soccer players, and he believes that the CPL will play a big role in growing the next batch of Canadian footballers.
We're seeing a lot of strides from that aspect, and this is being done without our own league. Our own league will just take this to a whole new trajectory. I believe in it. I've seen it on the ground over the years in working towards this goal.
Over 220 players showed up to day one of the Hamilton Open Trials, but only 56 of them returned for day two. The final cuts will be made later today, and they will join the final cuts of the Halifax and Quebec Open Trials. After that, the CPL coaches will be off to Toronto, Winnipeg, and Calgary for the rest of the October trials, and they will finish everything off in Vancouver in early November. Mohamed Rashini, Observer TV News, Hamilton.
Mohamed Rashini joins us live in studio. Mohamed, what happens next with the players that made the final cut?
Well, at the moment, it's all about the waiting game. The Canadian Premier League isn't 100% sure exactly what they're going to do with the final cuts. There's speculation that some players will be used to fill up the rosters for the teams, but there's no guarantee that every final cut from all 7 of the cross-country trials will sign for a team. At the moment, they're just going to continue working with the players and keeping tabs on all of them.
Thank you, Mohammed. We'll be back after the break.
Cut.
Toronto currently has a housing crisis afflicting its homeless and asylum seekers. A short-term solution to buy a North York hotel to provide housing has been cancelled before the proposal could be carried out. Daniel Samuel is in the studio to tell us more.
On Monday, the City of Toronto squashed its plan to buy a hotel that currently houses 500 homeless and asylum seekers, a CBC investigation uncovered. The Toronto Plaza Hotel owes $150,000 in unpaid property taxes and faces additional financial problems. The city previously signed a $4.5 million contract with the Alternative Living Solutions, Inc. to house people in the North York Hotel. The hotel is reportedly worth an estimated $35 million.
How long have asylum seekers been relocated to this hotel?
The City of Toronto has provided them with food and housing in the hotel since 2017.
Thank you, Daniel.
The TTC is nearing its 40th year of its Subway Musician program. The big anniversary has performers reflecting on what the program means to them and what got them started. Sergio Arangio reports.
Music and the TTC go together like tunnels and trains. Come January, what's now called the Underground Sounds program will be celebrating its 40th anniversary. The TTC recently finished auditioning musicians for their next 3-year cycle of performance licenses. Joseph Taylor was one of the 90 performers fortunate enough to snag one.
I played a couple songs at Dundas Station. A fellow came up to me and he said, "I want to thank you." And I said, "Thank me for what?" He said, "I was going to jump, and I heard a song that I loved that you played so well. And I just want to tell you, I'm alive because of you." And I said, "Okay, God, I'll do this as long as you tell me to."
In his almost 20 years playing the TTC, Taylor says commuters are usually wonderful audience members, but that they're not as generous as they once were.
Well, people don't really have a lot of money to throw around, and like I say, when you can get music streamed into your phone for free, the best musicians in the world, maybe you're already overflowed with artistic experience.
This musician, however, says TTC busking can be just like any other job.
For me personally, busking is the rawest form of music. It's street entertainment in its purest form, with no background acoustics, no band, just you rocking out and seeing how well you can do and how many smiles you can put on people's faces. And to me, there's always that element of keeping it natural, keeping it real. And that's why I feel like I would like to busk for the rest of my life if I can, hopefully on the subway.
Councillor Josh Call, chair of the TTC and the city's Music Advisory Council, says the musician program is part of a wider effort to inject music into Toronto.
Really, to me, it's the TTC's been doing it kind of for the longest, and it's a real kind of pillar of the program to make sure, a citywide program and effort to make sure that we get music kind of in as many spaces as possible.
The TTC has been trying to revamp the program over the years by introducing performance stages, to calling for audience participation in its new online auditions, and adding incentives for artists, like studio time through a partnership with Universal Music Canada. Councillor Cole says this is all to show the TTC's support for such a key fixture in Toronto's commuting experience. You might remember back in March of 2018 when the TTC held a concert in the decommissioned Lower Bay subway station as part of Canadian Music Week. Well, Councillor Cole says riders can expect more creative events like these to pop up in the TTC in the future. Sergio Arangio, Observer TV News, Toronto.
Thank you, Sergio. It's interesting to see the TTC switch to online auditions. How did that affect which performers were chosen for licenses compared to previous years?
Well, it's kind of twofold, Tijuana. First off, the online auditions makes it much easier for performers to audition in front of judges, especially for people who might have been a little bit apprehensive to physically audition in front of judges. So it makes it easier for really anybody that wanted to audition to do it that way. At the same time, it makes it more difficult. The competition is more stiff. And so veterans, people who've been doing this for maybe 20 years, like Taylor did, would have a bit more competition, and some even haven't made it into this round of TTC licenses, like veteran Jeff Burke, who was a TTC musician since the very beginning of this program. He hasn't made it to the next round. So it's a kind of bittersweet sort of process here with these new online auditions. Tijuana.
Thank you, Sergio. And that's our show for now. You can find the latest news on our website at torontoobserver.ca. On behalf of everyone here at Observer TV News, thanks for watching and have a good evening.